Alright, so we don't have a lot of time, but because I'm just about to go to the dentist and get butchered. It's actually the student dental school that I'm going to, because I was really stupid and I didn't go to the dentist for a very long time and accumulated a lot of necessary dental work, and then I couldn't afford it, so I had to go to the student place to get them to experiment on me, but they've actually been very good. Anyway, well, enough shit talk, let's get into it. So I wanted to give a shout out to, firstly, George Felino. He commented on the non-duality doesn't fix everything Q&A response video. I have a feeling that a lot of people who are commenting on this were commenting in response to the unintentionally clickbait-esque title of it and not the actual content of the video, which wasn't my intention to make a clickbait style statement as the video title. But anyway, I wanted to give a shout out to him. He said non-duality is not a state to achieve or something that has beginning and change or whatever. Non-duality is all there is, has been and always will be, even though there is no time. I have a soft spot for George because when I was going through the thick of this, he appeared on my YouTube and I started watching his videos, and I know that's a story, that's my story, but there was a accumulation there, this energetic push that in the relative story of that, there were characters that were talking about it, and I could feel it. Like Frank Yang was a big one. Awakening to Reality. I was talking to a guy who made that site, and in that period I could just feel something that was just moving this, and there were the relative characters as part of that story and the way I related to it as a person, and George was one of them. So thank you for your videos. What I really like, if you ever go onto his channel, is that he does these videos, it's like shorts, and it's called non-dual seeing or something like that, and it's just him walking about like with a camera just looking at things. And my favourite one of all is he goes through like the forest and goes through just like the street and stuff like that. My favourite one was when he's looking at and going through with the camera. It's just a bin and the bin's full of like peeled fruit or something like that, and then he zooms right into the contents of the bin, and it's I thought that was amazing because I know why there's no aversion or like specific focus on things that are perceived to be beautiful in the conventional sense, because it's all beautiful, it's all non-dual, it's all, like I always say, it's all wisdom. And it was apparent when he was filming the contents of a bin. And that's equally as beautiful, as equally non-dual, equally spiritual, quote unquote, as the trees or the birds or the forest or whatever. So check out his channel. Quite an interesting character as well. So right, I'm gonna have to rattle through this. So I'm sorry guys, I'm really not good at pronouncing these or reading these. I must be dumb. Jealous Smart 9195 says, thank you David, I came across non-duality for over 4 years ago and knew something very important was being said. Yeah, same. and I have been earnestly seeking ever since. Would it be possible to have your email address to discuss things? Yeah, I'll post it on this comment response, and I've not done it yet. I need to do it. Put it in the channel description so that anyone can email me if they want. I find myself just voice noting rather than typing, because I can do that when I'm driving and stuff like that. It's just much more efficient. But yep, for sure. One Party Relay says, oddly enough, your down-to-earth style makes me less suspicious of what you're about. It would be low-key hilarious if you showed up in a linen robe in the lotus position under a tree at this point. I wish I could do the lotus position. I used to be able to do it when I was younger and my hips weren't frozen up with age. But yeah, I'll get the orange robe. I'll get it for the next video. That'll increase the value of my message. That'll make people take me seriously. I've got the orange robe and the lotus position and the incense and all that, for sure. Yeah, with this channel, like, you know, I'm just not invested in it in a personal way. The only reason I'm still doing it, I don't really know why I'm still doing this. I enjoy it. Like, I fucking love talking to people about this, and then that whatever movement or deconstruction that is that removes the layers of obstruction or obscuration or delusion, and the what would be called the clear awakening or a clarity of awakeness and so on. I just love it because but it's not a personal, in a way, yeah, it's a personal satisfaction for sure, but it goes so much deeper than that. But at the same time, I'm not invested in this channel. Like, I mean, if we did a poll on this and there were more people here that said that they wanted me to delete the channel, or it was done there and that's enough, then I would just delete it today, and it wouldn't bother me at all, because there's no thing I'm trying to push. You know, you could say there's an agenda to this channel, but there's no personal investment in that whatsoever, and there's a freedom with that. There's a lack of restriction with that is very enjoyable, but it's not restricted to this channel or this character or presenting an image or anything like that. And seeing how it evolves without planning or anything like that as well, seeing what we talk about without a script, without pre-thought, I find very interesting. But yeah, there's just no urgency or investment in pushing a message. I just don't, it's not that I don't care, it's just that it's clear that that's not something that can be controlled or something that's worth investing in or identifying with in a personal way. But yeah, the lack of suspicion, yeah, I get that, but equally you can take the most shady character, the most suspicious person, and they could come out, you know, so many times. Yeah, there was I'll give you one example, right? So back in Glasgow, there were some serious gangsters that were very dangerous, very murdery, sociopathic, you know, scary people. And there was this one guy in particular, obviously I'm not going to name any names, but he, I can't remember what he said. I remembered it for a while, I can't remember what. It was something along the lines of, I was training for a competition and I was feeling it, and he said, are you feeling it today? And I was like, yeah, really not, I don't have the motivation. And he said something like, yeah, sometimes they're the best days, and then went on to say something else about it. But the idea I got from that was the the lessons you learn or the resilience that you build doesn't come in the absence of discipline. And true discipline is doing something you don't want to do because of some sort of delayed gratification, because you know it is the right thing to do and you know that deep down. He said something along those lines, which was bizarrely out of character, bizarrely insightful for someone who I'd heard some of the stories about the things that he'd done, and it would turn your stomach. But yeah, so it's, you know, there is wisdom everywhere if you're open to it. It's accessible constantly, and that was kind of the point I was making with the last video. Kind of annoyed myself that I can't remember what he said, because he said it in a very poetic way, and it was really it really stopped me for a second there. Yeah. But yeah, this if there is a message, the message is everywhere, and it's not something that can be outsourced particularly. And even when it does seem like it's being outsourced, it's not. It's all coming from within. But what we're talking about here, there is no within. You could say everything is within, to an extent, such that nothing is outside. I think that really becomes clear when we, like I've described, anything perceived, anything in the senses is within you, is you. Anything in your experience is you. You not as an idea about a personal separate entity, you as the looking. So as I look about, it doesn't make sense to say everything is me, but this experience is this, and this is what I am. And the separation isn't there other than a belief and a thought. And then when you see that, let's say, for want of a better way of phrasing it, it's instantaneous communication. Every part of it is wisdom. Every part of it is communicating wisdom directly, not to you from a distance, but it just is that. It's so hard to describe, and it just becomes so relaxing. Like the previous comment said, the something about going on a seeking adventure or whatever. It's always done from a position. It's always done from a point, looking out at something else. When that flips, when everything becomes inside, then it's all there already. It's all one already, and then that seeking journey just comes to an end, and it really does. And any seeking that's being done, any action, any doing that's being done, any intention there is fine to be there, is still there. There's just the absence of the character that it refers to, and the personal ownership of that action, of that journey, of that story, in a separate sense, if you get what I mean. So, and equally in this channel, if people will have an awakening, will say watching these videos, will talk to me one-on-one, and I can quite easily point straight to this, and it can quite easily resonate and become clear here within this seeming discussion between two people. But then straight after that, it gets framed as this came from me, or this is something by association with this character here, and it's not. It's not. Or framed as this is something that happened because of this conversation, and now the conversation is over, all the functions are coming back online, and that might be true to an extent, but all of that appears as a thought belief right now. Just one, and that's it. So this channel can become an obstruction quite easily if you invest a little bit too much in what I'm saying, or have a subtle belief underlying there that I'm talking about something in general. I'm talking about something else, something that is not this. So if you're watching this, stop now. Turn away from the camera if you're, or divert your awareness of sound away from these words. Look somewhere else and just stop. That's it. This is it. That's the whole thing. That's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. Just that. Just this. That's easier said and framed in a timeline. It's easier said than done. But it's not. It's something that's already done. It doesn't need to be done. It's here already. And anything added to that is a complexity that comes over the top in the form of thought and belief. So like I always say, this thing's backwards. Just stop. Slow everything right down. And it's already here, it's already clear. I'm doing the marathon soon. Don't know why. So I've been running everywhere. So kind of feeling it a bit. I think I might respond. So I think I might have responded to this one. Right, I read the whole thing. So Lugs Never Lie says, been following for a few months. I've never been much of a question asker, but just wanted to say thanks to all the videos and the way you approach this topic. Definitely resonating here. Yeah, it's so much more about the resonating than the questions. The questions are definitely be helpful, for sure. But what I'm talking about is before the question is asked. During the asking of the question, after the question's asked, to the point where the question doesn't even need to be asked in the first place. At an absolute level, yeah, that's true, but equally, relatively, these questions and answers can be very helpful, for sure. Many thanks. That I've responded to this. I can't see what I said. That makes perfect sense. There has been a lot of stuckness here, and I was stuck in my head for so long, and I was convinced it would find the answer. It definitely finds answers, but it's not the answer, as there was nowhere else it could be. Paul Hedman pointed to this in today's upload. Yeah, like him. The only way it can convince you is to convince you that you're already convinced. Yeah, it gets so messy, it gets so complicated. It becomes, like I always say, like, frequently in the comments, especially that non-duality doesn't fix everything. It's kind of like a controversial clickbaity title. People respond to that statement with another statement that's meant to make that more clear in some way, in a conceptual sense, and it's just not about the concepts. I posted a short video and it went something like, to every statement, to every belief, to every question, to every position, to every statement or question about the way it is, the way it's meant to be, what is this? The answer is both and neither, across the board, when we're talking about what I'm pointing to in a non-conceptual way, such that the concepts, the statements aren't even relevant. Nothing I'm saying is relevant as a statement or a belief. Both and neither, paradox. Invalidate that whole thing and just come back to this. Don't think about it. The mind is slippery, it's tricky. It will convince you, like you said, that you need to believe in it, you need to listen to it, you need to take a position to confirm something, to realise this, to attain this, to hold on to this, to confirm it. And, if you can feel what the opposite of that is, if you can feel that function coming online and pulling you into a conceptual version of reality, into a need, compulsion to figure something out, that's there for a reason, but feel the feeling of it and then have this immediate experience, this sensory appearance, answer the question for you, because the answer is here. The answer isn't in thought, isn't in the mind, and the mind is very good at following along sometimes, especially if you're someone who is smart conventionally, especially if you're someone who, you know, is well educated in concept, theory, language, so on. The mind can follow along and it can pretend to know. But if you're honest, go into the feeling and see what does the conclusion give you? Another question. What does the statement about the way it is, this and that give you? Uncertainty? Doubt? Go into the feeling of that and then just let the feeling move. Let the feeling move in this, uncontextualized by the intellect, not in context by the mind. And you see that it becomes too simple. And that, if you feel that feeling of letting go and a little bit of apprehension and fear in that, because how am I going to function? How am I going to confirm if this is a weakness or not, if this is my awakening or not? Just let go. I'm telling you, just let go. Just take that step, have the courage there to continually, intentionally let go just into this and just stay there, and eventually that courage is revealed as wisdom, and the doing, the courage needed, the intention becomes impersonal and it takes care of itself. And you really don't need to think and confirm and conclude and analyse all the time to function perfectly well in life. You know, it's another story. I might do a video about this soon, that, you know, it does change things in the relative. Like the non-duality doesn't fix it, everything, of course, that's conceptual, but this whole transformation, this whole awakening process, it does relatively change things, and not all of that's positive, you know, at the relative level. There are changes you need to make. I think your life will probably change. That could be wrong, I don't know, that's just based on my own experience and how I've talked to people. Someone else in the comments said that you don't get anything from this. That is so true. Personally, you don't. But equally, I could say that non-duality or this awakening or recognition or whatever did save my life. But that's just a story. That's just a story about me. At the ultimate level, that's not true, because everything's already perfect. I can't even remember what I was talking about there. Yeah, memory takes a hit. Perception of time takes a hit, for sure, and that takes some adaptation. It did for me. I don't think everyone's the same, but how did we get onto this? I don't even know. I'm just rambling now. So I'm going to go and get my face drilled by a dentist. Wish me luck, and I'll talk to you next time.